so let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain, oh Lord. 'Cause you are above every name, Jesus.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the Warriors Way. We're here at UCAN Studios, and I'm here with JJ. Say good morning, JJ.
Good morning, guys.
All right, before we get to him, if this is your first time, please go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. And if you know someone that's struggling with food or clothes or baby formula or mental health, please tell them to go on there. Click on struggling. Get to our partners. All the stuff is free or next to free to them. And you can check that out. Also, JJ is from Body, Mind, and Spirit Gym.com if you want to check out what he's going to be talking about when we get started. And always, as usual, go to ucanmichigan.org if you're dealing with drug rehabilitation issues. All right. Now, JJ, give us just a real quick overview just so people who are checking out Body, Mind, and Spirit Gym.com know what they're walking into. What is that real quick?
Well, real quick, I got to start with a thank you. I really appreciate being on this. It's my first time being interviewed and that type of thing. And I feel a connect. I feel a connect here. And where do you want me to begin?
Just start with what it is. What are people going to be using this website for?
Okay. Well, I'm a big believer, as we talked about, with the internet, especially cell phones. And I've created a website, that you can access on your cell phone. A lot of the people I work with are either too young to have a computer, or they're in jail or something like that, but almost everybody has a phone.
Right.
And so they can get on it. And it came as a result of my desire to feed three parts of your body, your existence, your persona, and that's body, mind, and spirit.
Okay.
And so I began to think, ain't no gyms out there for body, mind, and spirit.
Sure.
You can go in every corner of the state, and you're not going to find that.
Yeah.
So I created it. Here's where you go when you want to find out of how to feed your body, how to feed your mind, how to feed your spirit.
All right. Well, we'll let people go to the website, and that is, one more time, Body, Mind, and Spirit Gym.com.
Right.
GYM Gym.com to check that out. All right. But we are here today to get your story. So where did you grow up when you were little?
I grew up in Roseville, Michigan.
Roseville. Ooh, 13 mile, 10
12
mile?
mile, 12 mile and Gratiot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Walked that every day to school.
Did you really?
Yeah.
All right. So that for those that don't know, that's downtown. I mean, that is downtown. So 10 Mile and Gratiot is right down there.
Yeah.
All right. And what was it like? Were you growing up?
I had a blessed childhood. I really did. I had parents that loved me dearly, were hard workers, and I had 6 kids in the family, 5 brothers and sisters.
Wait, where'd you filter in that 6?
I was in the middle.
Were you? Yeah. Oh, you were a middle kid. Yay. That's why we like solving problems.
I got a non-existed, because
sure.
it was like everybody was taking care of everybody, and I just kind of snuck around.
Man, so wait a minute. How many bedrooms did that house have?
Well, 3-bedroom.
So you guys were bunking it?
Yeah, I slept with my brother for, 12 years. And
top or bottom bunk? It matters.
No, it was in a regular bed.
Uh-huh.
I remember, I used to have nightmares growing up.
Yeah.
As long as I had my toe touching my brother, touching his
that was
toe.
your safety blanket. No kidding.
Yeah.
Now, how much older than you was he?
Let's see, 4 years older.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's more of a protector type.
Yeah. He was a wonderful kind of path to grow, because he was a great athlete.
Really?
And, he was my mentor.
So where did you fit in school? Were you like a cool kid? Were you a smart kid?
I was a good kid.
You were a good kid? Stayed out of trouble, followed the rules, did what you had to do?
I wanted to be a priest, And
Really?
So, Catholic school, Roseville Sacred Heart, and I would, during the summer, I'd get up, ride my bike to church every day.
I can totally see that. Oh, my gosh. I can see that. Okay.
And, it became who I am. And in Catholics, I went to Roseville Sacred Heart Catholic School. Next to the president, the best thing you could be is a priest.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And so,
Next to president.
yeah, if you want to be successful in life and get a high place in heaven,
Yeah.
be a priest. And so I said, I'm going to do it.
So
I
you
went
started down that path.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was high school like? Were you in high school? You were on that
Yeah.
path. So what was that like?
No. I was accepted at Sacred Heart Seminary, all ready to go, and they didn't have football there.
Oh.
They didn't have football. I found that out, and so I had to wave it off.
Because of football.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in high school, what'd you play? What positions and stuff?
I played center and I played linebacker.
Holy smokes, you were a center.
Linebacker.
Holy smokes, you were a center.
Yeah,
Which one did you like better, center or linebacker?
linebacker.
Because you get to hit them, right?
I got all my aggressions.
Yeah, right.
This good kid holding everything back.
Yeah. And you get out of the field, you get to decompress, right?
I know.
That's cool.
And I liked hitting people. And
I can feel that.
Football is a violent sport, but the coaches became my dad.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
they became, along with my brother, my teachers, and I desperately wanted their approval because my dad was sick.
Hold on. Before we get to your dad being sick, so when you were a freshman, that made your brother a senior?
He was out.
Oh, he was already
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Oh, so he
like
couldn't be
4
there
years.
to kind of coax the road. Did he leave a good impression so you didn't have
Oh
to deal
my
with him?
God, just the best.
Oh,
Just
man,
the
that's so good.
best.
Nothing better, nothing worse than having a sibling that screws it all up and they're like, oh, God, another one. That's cool. All right, so you're going through. So what year did your dad get sick? Like, how old were you when that happened?
13.
Okay. So what happened?
We were on vacation, Traverse City, Michigan, and before that time, I was a caddy during those days. That's how I
Made some bucks?
Yeah, $2 for $2.50 for 18 holes back then.
Yeah. Well, the tips had to be okay, though.
Yeah, it worked. And
Well, you're real
eventually-
congenial, so them boys would have liked you.
Yeah,
Especially if you accidentally give them the right club and they hit the shot.
yeah. Well, oddly enough, my brother, prior to me getting there, was the caddy master.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he got me that job. I mean, my whole life he's been like
Leading the way
leading
for you.
the way.
Yeah.
And so I caddied, and they had this Evans Scholar program, and I got the Evans Scholarship, so I had a free ride to Michigan State because of my brother's guidance.
Wow. So
and-
that's where you went.
Yeah.
All right. So you decide not to. So hold on, back up. So you go to Traverse City. Your dad gets sick of what? What was it?
Okay. He had a congenital heart condition.
So he was how old when this happened?
He was 51.
Okay. So what was the congenital heart condition?
He had a heart murmur.
Oh, okay.
And, back then everybody smoked, and he wasn't an alcoholic or anything like that, but yeah, every day he'd grab his Lucky Strikes,
Lucky Strikes. Oh my gosh, that's right.
and he put 2 or 3 packs, and he had a very stressful job.
Yeah. What did he do?
He was service manager at an auto dealership.
He had to deal with people.
Yeah.
God bless him.
And
The customer was always right back then.
well,
He says, well.
he was a very gentle man.
Yeah.
And he was, the unsatisfied customers would come back and say, my radio's not working.
Yeah.
I can't shift this. And he would diagnose it and get it in there. He actually would drive the car home as an
Okay.
extra car and listen to, what's wrong, potentially wrong with it, because he was a
Wow.
great mechanic. And he would drop the car off and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And it just, I learned about service with him. He's a
Okay.
service manager.
So this is your background and where your brain
Yeah.
is going. Okay. So how long was he sick? Like what was the
11 years.
Okay, so into your college and through graduation.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll deal with that in a little bit.
A lot of stuff here.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Listen, this is why we're doing this. This is makes a great story. It helps everyone see why you do what you do. So you get in there. You come from a service background, hardworking people, bunch of kids, older brother helping guide the way, and so you don't be a priest. You go to Michigan State, and your major is what?
English and political science.
English and political science from a priest. Why those?
I was kind of, I love literature and I loved writing, and I would write poetry and that type of thing. And so,
Yeah, I'm a nerd too. I love poetry, man. I used to write poetry and sell them for $50 a pop in college so the guys could go out with their girlfriends.
oh my God.
Once they figured out I had like 7 of them, the girls would like.
It's fun, isn't it? The words just appear in your
Oh
head.
yeah, they just show up, and it's like you start thinking one emotion or one situation, and you write that situation out in whatever way it comes forward, right?
Yeah.
It's so crazy. All right, so you're in college. How long did you go? 4 years, 3 years, 5 years?
4 years. and
Okay.
I played football. I was a walk-on at Michigan State.
Really?
And that was just
Linebacker?
wonderful. Yeah, linebacker. And that was
Man, that's cool, man.
That's when Duffy Doherty was there. But at that particular time, it was like a dream for me.
You're living your dream.
They were national champs. When was it? In the mid-'60s.
Uh-huh.
60s. And so I got to see those players and got to be under the tutelage and guidance of Duffy Doherty.
There's got to be one good story in there where you're like, man, this thing happened. That was so cool. Because there's some great names through those years.
Okay, I was a preferred walk-on.
A preferred
and, my coaches made some calls. I just didn't come on from the dorm or whatever. And so first day, the players had to be on the sideline. They're in street coats. Duffy went down the line, and he shook every one of their hands. And when he touched my hand, something rubbed off.
Really?
It was like
Like an energy
spiritual
or something.
experience, an energy.
Man, what was he like as a person?
Oh,
Like,
he
if you had to
was just
explain it.
terrific. He was all that in that particular time that was needed for a great, great coach because he was funny. He found humor, and now it's so serious. It's life and death. And
I mean, it's not, but
No,
it is,
no,
but it's
but-
not. And we just had the Michigan State game, which was actually they covered the spread, so it's whatever.
Yeah. And this was the time that Duffy was on the cover of Time magazine.
Wow, that's cool.
And then when after my third year, I went back to him and he said, "What are you going to do, John?" And I said, "I want to go to law school." And so he wrote me a letter.
Well, hold on, you can't just flip and say I'm going to law school. I know that we're going to law school, but before you go. So you were finishing up your degree, and somewhere in there you decided you're going to go to law school.
Yeah.
All right. Before you go into that, we got to go to our first break. If you've not checked out UCANMichigan.org, check that out. Like, share, and subscribe on Spiritual Warfare Unit. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes, and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program.
Hey, it's Aaron with UCAN. We're down here at the Unity Fest the Heart of Flint is putting on, Kersley Park Pavilion over here on the east side. Doing a lot of great things out here with a lot of great people. There's all types of vendors, people giving away food and water and clothing, just a lot of resources for the community. UCAN's out here, and we're talking to a lot of people already whose loved ones have been afflicted by the disease of addiction. So we're able to get our information out, hopefully be able to provide resources to those folks in the future.
There's freedom in your name, Jesus. There's real in your name. You break every
All right, here we are, Unity Fest 2, and I'm here with the promoter, Jeremy. How are we doing today, buddy?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing great. We're here at the UCAN tent, handing out for United Community Addiction Network, getting everybody here helped out. It looks like a full house. How many people do you think are here?
Oh, a few hundred. We just opened, so I think it's going to get better, though, today, because
All right, and how many people you got playing today?
we have 3 artists. We got Shantae Music, and we have Nick Hill, who's out of Saginaw, and then End of I. I don't know who they are, but.
All right, welcome back to the Warriors Way on UCAN Recovery. I'm here with JJ, and we're talking about bodymindandspiritgym.com, and we're just getting your story. So you would just gone through college. Now, you played football for Michigan State. What years?
Yeah. Let's see, 69 to 73.
69 to 73, and you're a linebacker.
Okay.
And so you get to your fourth year, you ask your coach, what are we going to do? And you said, I want to go to law school. What made you choose law school?
Well, I didn't really like to argue, but it was just, I don't know, it was an internal kind of thing. I back up a little bit. I didn't play my senior year because I was injured during the summer. I had to have eye surgery. I was breaking up concrete. Piece of steel went into my eye. That's a whole different story. So I didn't.
You can't just throw that. Wait a minute. Hold on. This is important. And
Okay.
I think so. You're breaking concrete.
Yeah.
Piece of steel goes into your eye, and they had to do what?
I had a detached retina. Oh. And when you have a detached retina, you can't knock heads.
No. And so how long did that take to recover from?
It took the whole summer, and what was my first.
And your senior year, you couldn't play. Oh, my gosh. You must have been heartbroken.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it was like, right before this, I got the call from the coach and sat down with them, and he's, this whole thing, we like what you're doing, we're going to play and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the next summer, this happens to me. And so they said, okay, what are you going to do, John?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Now what?
What are you going to do with your life?
Yeah.
So I said, I want to be a lawyer. I don't know. It sounded like good. I'd never been in a courtroom.
So it sounds like a good decision. Out of decisions I could make, what was it? President, priest. So you went with lawyers. That was your top three.
I guess a priest is kind of like a lawyer.
Yeah.
He's making a case.
Rules, regulations, guidelines, expectations, people. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And as a lawyer, you're eating all that emotion, because I've had a couple guys on here, and they're like, man, people don't understand how much the lawyers are like vested in that emotion. And then you got to like try to decompress and live your own life. And that's its own ball of wax. But so, all right. So you decide what is lawyer for 200.
Yeah.
And then, and so you graduate from state. What's the next step?
Well, nobody wanted me.
Nobody wanted you, for real?
Yeah. So I had made at least a dozen applications all over the place, and nobody wanted me.
Wow.
And I gotten letters, and my last quarter I got a 4-point, and I must have done the worst of any pre-law student on the LSAT, and I wasn't the smartest, the sharpest guy in the drawer, and so I had to face, what am I going to do? So I'm putting in pools during the summer. In my old high school, a coach and teacher says, you're going to graduate. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. And he said, you want to be a teacher? So I taught at St. Clemens High School for 2 years.
No kidding. English?
Yeah. Taught English.
Oh, good for you.
And you and I are writers, so I directed plays there, co-directed plays, and coached. I was a head track coach.
That's cool.
And coached football. And
how'd you like it?
Oh, I loved it.
Did you really?
Yeah. But I had this gnawing pit of my stomach. I got to finish this law thing. And so,
you just said I would put it out there, and now I want to finish it.
Yeah.
I understand that.
And so a friend of mine said that there's a new law school out in New Hampshire that's just breaking,
So they just need people.
Yeah, they just need warm bodies.
There you go.
And so I got in.
I
got in.
What was the name of the school?
Franklin Pierce. It was
Franklin Pierce was starting back then.
Yeah. Franklin
Wow.
Pierce Law School in Concord, New Hampshire.
Man, that's cool. So
And
what was that experience like?
It was great.
Yeah?
It was great. The school didn't really have a building. It was kind of like a barn in the country. But
Turn to page 34.
Yeah. And so
That's awesome.
I said, okay, I'm going to sneak into a better school, because now wife was at Michigan State. You know, I couldn't afford flying back and all that
Right,
kind of
sure.
stuff. So I said, what about Notre Dame? You know, and so I applied there and had really good grades. Got Duffy's letter out, you know, that he
Nailed it.
and he recommended me.
Wow.
And so I got in. It
Like a literal golden ticket, right?
yeah. So it was
That's
funny
cool.
because when I called there and I had gone through so many applications,
Yeah.
and she goes, "Yeah, I got your file in front of me." I goes, "Okay."
Yeah. Now
She
what?
She goes, "You're in."
Just like that.
Yeah. She goes, "You're
Dude,
in."
what did that feel like that moment? That had to be amazing.
Oh, my
Did
God.
you scream when you got off the phone? I'd have been like,
I didn't know what to do. You know.
man, that's cool. So this puts you at what? You got to be about 24, 25?
Yeah, 24, 25.
So you're going to Notre Dame for a lottery. That's something.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just everything you can imagine. They won the national championship football.
Yes, they
thing
did.
during the time I was there.
Yes, they
You know,
did.
I was right before Rudy. You know, was on campus.
Like the really real
yeah,
Rudy.
the real Rudy.
Oh, my gosh. Man, that's amazing.
And it was like so much fun and you know, it's just intoxicating to walk on that campus. It's got to be
Yeah.
the best campus.
So what
ever.
was like that experience like?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I had a Harvard law school professor that showed me about law.
Wow.
And it's that everybody stands in a degree of truth, and you have thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Those two polar opposites arrive at a higher truth. And that's what I always went for.
The
You know,
higher
in
truth.
life or in a case, that there's going to be different opinions.
Yeah.
But if it's handled correctly, it can arrive at a higher truth. And it allowed me to really understand the conflict.
All right, so let's talk about your rules of three. Because when we were talking before the show, you said from a young age,
Right.
like third grade, I think is what you said,
Yeah.
the rules of three. And now you're starting to get into that with a law degree. So explain to people what the rule of three is that we talked about, that is kind of like a guiding principle
Yeah.
in your life.
Well, later on, I'll talk about, you know, how it kind of puts together a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
And but when I graduated from Notre Dame and started my own practice in Howell, Michigan, I'd never been in a courtroom before. Because I
Okay.
was always working construction and
Yeah,
things like
getting
that.
your eye shot out and all that. Yeah.
And so I couldn't afford, you know, not living, doing construction and that type of thing would give me enough money so
Sure.
that I could finish. So anyway, I go into court and I'm arguing, I'm losing. And finally an old attorney pulled me aside and said, "I know why you're not having success."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "You're not following the rule of threes. You're making 2 points to the judge." And when he goes, "I don't know why this works, but it does. If you only have 2 points, add something onto it and you're going to connect with the judge," which is all an argument is. And I mean, is he getting what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
And if he's missing it, you know, I'm going to be out of the courtroom.
So this guy was seeing your arguments were
Yeah.
solid, but because you weren't making the 3 points, it was like not
Yeah.
having a finish.
yeah. Yeah.
And then, like in a chess game, you got the opening, you got the middle, and you got the end. And if you suck at any one of those, you'll lose the game
Yeah.
on the outcome. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, it allowed me to understand this ocean they call law.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It really is an ocean.
yeah,
man.
and it allowed me to navigate more correctly and to succeed. In
So
this.
after you implemented that, how did your arguments go?
I started to win.
Really?
I started to win. I had jury trials. I had one jury trial where I got $10,000 from my client for a threat to kill their dog.
A threat to kill their dog?
Yeah, it was kind of legendary in Livingston County back then.
No kidding. No,
But
you
it-
can't just say that. Like someone threatened to kill his dog
Yeah.
and you got him 10 grand.
Yeah, intentional infliction of emotional distress.
hold on, wait a minute. Intentional affliction of emotional.
Yeah, that is a tort. That is a cause of action. And
Sure.
I just felt for the people,
Yeah.
that they were being terrorized by this neighbor, of theirs. And,
Oh, it was a neighbor dispute.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
actually could be intentionally bad.
yeah, and they were just gentle spirits, and I felt for them.
So they were bullying him a bit.
yeah, bullying him and
that
threatening
sucks.
him and all that kind of stuff.
Those
and,
people invoke my wrath. I hate bullies, man. I hate them with a passion. That's actually kind of any other like cases that stood out that were like, man, this one really.
I mean, there's so many. I basically, because of my father, did personal injury law because I just like the idea of representing injured people. And I was able to kind of like, didn't matter how much money you had.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what status you had or whatever. If you were hurt, genuinely hurt, I could help them and then have a bigger payoff at the end.
Yeah.
And I started to build my practice.
Because your dad was still hurting at this
Yeah.
point, right? Without
Yeah.
congenital health failure. And we got to be getting close to that scenario, right? Because you got to be in your early 30s at this point, right?
I'm trying to
Late 20s or
yeah,
early 30s.
Yeah.
Right in there.
So after 11 years, my father did pass.
Yeah.
And just to put closure on that, that taught me about suffering. That taught me about redemption. And I learned from that man what no healthy father could teach.
Really?
Just by his bravery and my mother's persistent love and care of him.
Wow.
So that was a
Watching
gift. That was a gift.
Man. That is unbelievable. As an injured person, like listening to you say that is humbling because my daughter talks to me like you talk about your dad, and I don't like it's bringing tears to my eyes. I'm really glad we're going to break right now because I'm tearing up because that's amazing. Like good for you as a son. That's super awesome. You guys got to sit tight. Hit spiritualwarfareunit.com. Like, share, and subscribe. Click on UCANmichigan.org if you're struggling, and we'll be right back.
I'm really impressed with the teachings that Isaac has been bringing to us, as this is all based from Proverbs.
I like it because it's simple, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's very easy to understand and apply to your life.
It points out, my bad parts, and but it's showing me how to do the good parts. And, I'm trying to apply that and, make a better life for myself because I'm tired of where I've been.
It's impacted a lot of the guys as they continue to talk and ask questions after the meetings, as they speak to one another regarding the meeting and the messages and the topics that are being brought up, which are down-to-earth topics of situations and things that we live with on a day-to-day basis.
He takes the Bible and he breaks it down into simple terms and where you can understand. And like I said before, sometimes a lot of churches, even the Salvation Army, sometimes we start using these big words that people don't understand, like even saying someone got saved. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say someone got saved? And it's accepting Jesus into your heart. So it's like words like that we use that people don't understand.
It's just very interesting how he points out, the different things of, the sin part, and then he comes back with the, how to make it better, and he just points it out. It's there. I didn't know all this stuff was in there, but now that he's pointing it out, it's like, wow, I guess if you really dig into the Bible, you find these things.
This is a daily moral standards that we can live by, that the teachings are coming from. And honestly, we can take verse by verse as what he's done, and pretty much he's done the hard work for us and now laying it out so that we have an easier understanding.
There's some people who don't like to be in Bible classes, but this one seems to get their attention.
All right, welcome back to the Warrior's Way. Our warrior this week is JJ Schalter, and we were just doing parent stories, and you're killing me. I can't. My eye is fogged up, and what a great story. He was just. I got to tell. He was just telling a story how he's playing for Michigan State. He went in. His dad was there. He made a tackle, kissed his dad on the forehead. That's just. I can't even see. I'm all fogged up and cry. That is so cool, man. That you had that moment with your dad. That is amazing. So. And that pushed your passion to help people who were injured, right? And doing it because you cared about them, not about the money. The money wasn't the driver; it was the reason.
Right.
That shows your character as a person, and that's amazing. So, how old were you when he finally passed?
Let's see, 11 years. I'm not
13.
Yeah, I was probably 25.
25. So what was your
13.
What was your process with that? Like if you were to give people advice about going through that.
Well, I flew home from New Hampshire because I was in my first year of law school, and he was gone when I was there, and it was amazing the feeling of relief that he finally was at peace
And not hurting. Yeah.
because he was in a wheelchair, he had no balance, and his speech was slurred, and his eyes were not, kind of cross-eyed and that type of thing. And see, when you're a kid, you pray, don't let me go. And then you feel a little guilty if they're suffering.
Yeah.
But it was just such closure, to say goodbye and to really acknowledge what his suffering had done.
Yeah.
It just fueled my friggin' fire.
Yeah. It's like an unquenchable fire
Yeah.
he gave you.
Yeah.
Man,
And
that's cool.
what's interesting about football is that I was one of those guys who would put my head in harm's way, because I wanted it so bad. And every season my eyes would bruise up and black out and that type of thing. And I kind of liked that feeling. But it's a little dysfunctional, but it was the way I coped with it.
Was what it was.
Yeah.
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 So you get to that. Now, when did you get married? Because you do law school. She, I'm assuming, graduated from Michigan State and then came with you to Notre Dame, or how did that
No,
work?
she stayed at Michigan State.
Okay.
And it was only, a couple hours away.
Yeah.
And so I'd go up to Michigan State and,
Much better than New Hampshire.
And then we went 10 years just dating, And then I don't want to say I don't remember the exact date I was married.
Yeah.
Get in trouble.
Well-
but it was, a longer time,
Yeah.
where we were both together.
So you got married in your mid-30s?
Yeah, 31, I think it was.
Oh, beginning of your 30s. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense. You're finishing up school and getting everything done. You want to click it all out of the way. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Logical.
Most beautiful lady in the world, And I'm blessed every day for it.
Man, that's so awesome.
She's beautiful outside and inside.
Yeah. What did she go to school for?
Communications, radio and TV. She worked for the auto shows and as a model, and
Wow.
she's a real communication person, and she's like a butterfly.
Yeah.
If she goes to a party, she makes everybody feel welcome.
All right, so let's stop the story right here for a second and explain to everybody your butterfly thing, because you got a butterfly thing, right?
Yeah.
And I like the mental picture when we were talking about it. So go ahead.
Well, the butterfly, and I'll talk about some other time, the alter ego, it's, something that humans can adapt to. It's just a wonderful, wonderful image and representation of God's creation, that you start with caterpillar, and then you go into this cocoon, which is almost like a womb, or, whatever you built for your life.
Yeah.
And you break through, and nobody can help you, or else you'll die. Because if you cut the cocoon, it doesn't get all the juices into the wings, and that suffering allows you to fly. And so you become, from this crawling, almost insect worm type of character, into something that is not only one of the most beautiful insects God ever created, but you can fly.
Right.
You can fly.
And so that mental picture, if I'm understanding, from caterpillar, pupae, the butterfly, is that mental process that we're making between your mind, body, and spirit to find the flow or the purpose in your life, that what you're going to be talking about in the last section.
Yeah.
All right, I just thought that was pretty, and we get into it. It's a beautiful process. I just like people to see where your head is at because it's a beautiful mind. I'm sitting here in front of a beautiful mind. It's just having a great time. All right, so married in your early 30s. Did like kids come quickly, or
I always say that you never had any kids, but had fun trying.
listen, life's about practice, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, here's the blessing of it is that I love all my nieces and nephews, but I have this preoccupation with all kids are my kids. You know, and I feel like Jerry Lewis, my kids. But you know, I do generally feel that way. That you know, the biology of having kids is wonderful in your bloodline and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I just love kids and take them in as a father would.
Yeah,
As a
and we're
father.
gonna get to that, but we can't jump the story. I know you keep trying. Sorry, I gotta hold them in there. All right, so you're in your 30s. You moved to Howell, Michigan.
Yeah, how much?
Okay, so you and your wife got your first house, or
Actually, I lived with my wife was still at Michigan State.
Oh, okay.
So I slept in the basement, and I became the first personal injury lawyer in Howell to do that exclusively because they're all just general practitioners.
wow?
And you know, I had a friend who lived in Brighton, and he said, "You got to come to Howell because it's like at the intersection of these three counties. Of like, you know, you got Flint there,
Yeah,
you got Lansing,
yeah.
and then you've got Detroit, and you're really
The location was
great
good.
location.
So what basement were you staying in?
Her roommates. I wasn't paying any rent or anything. Like that.
Well,
So
I mean, you're trying to get there, right?
yeah.
So great. Oh man.
And so I started out, you know, I got as an injury lawyer, and pretty challenging because you know you got to scrape up some money to pay the rent.
Yeah, and then you got to advertise. Back then it was phone books, right?
Yeah.
Got to do the phone book thing, and then you're huffing feet all the time, right? You can always tell a good lawyer by their shoes that are scraped. They got shiny shoes. That guy doesn't run anymore, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. And so, so what did you turn that into? That
Well, my claim to fame, Sam Bernstein and I were one of the first people to advertise on TV. You know, I there was
the first calls free guy.
Yeah, there was a Arizona federal court decision that said you can't make it, you know, unethical to advertise, or you know, attorneys should be able to advertise.
Sure.
And so the law changed, and Sam started advertising on TV in Detroit, and I advertised on in Lansing.
Okay.
321 Help. You know, John Schalter here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so, you know, I started to settle and win some cases. And I always say that law was a wonderful source of income for me to fulfill my creative things, you know. And then after doing that for about 8 years, my wife and I moved to L.A., and I became a screenwriter.
All right, so hold on. So you're from 31 to 39. You're doing this. You got your degree.
Yeah.
Explain that. You're just like, so honey, I decided, or you've been thinking about it, or
You know, I always love movies. You know, so Roosevelt Theater, 25 cents, line out in the front.
Yeah.
You know, we saw Hercules and
Absolutely.
and all of the horror movies and Get Scared and all that kind of stuff. And so I always loved writing, and so I wrote a screenplay about water skiing. You know, and so I thought I'm going to give it a try as a writer out in L.A.
so you guys, we're just up and moving. We're done here, and we're doing.
Yeah,
something
actually, I assigned my law practice to another attorney
Okay.
from Ann Arbor, and so he came right in and took over everything, and so I still would practice law on some non-litigation cases because
Gotcha.
I couldn't be in court or
Yeah.
anything like that because I was in California.
Right.
So that was kind of then 20 years before. You know, working at home.
Yeah.
You know, that's
So
what we're doing today.
You moved to where in California? Hollywood or L.A.?
Malibu.
Malibu, outstanding.
Yeah.
All right, so
We stayed there for about 8 months, 9 months. And
so how'd it go? Like,
a lot of traffic. No,
that's so great. What I meant with the screenplay, like what happened? Like you pitched it and
no. Well, afterwards I met a great guy that has changed my life. Russ Bollinger played for the Lions for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so with our football background, we're saying, okay, writers got to write. We're not getting any. I did a little bit of acting, acting classes and that type of thing. And I figured that's not for me. I want to be a writer.
Yeah.
But being an acting classes helps you to be a writer. So Russ was saying, Russ Bollinger was saying, we're both football junkies. I played in the NFL for 10 years, and you played it 4 years, Michigan State.
yeah, D1.
All your life. And he said, let's make a play about football.
Okay.
And so we said, okay, what are we going to do? You just can't go out there play on the field.
Yeah.
So we would have everything that the fans don't see in the locker room,
Okay.
and it was all authentic stuff. Most of the lines were stuff that people really said.
That's cool.
And it was kind of like Russ had been involved with steroids,
Yeah.
and at that time, but steroids weren't illegal or anything like that back then.
Hold on.
So
Before you get into the story, because this sounds like a good story,
Yeah.
we got to take another break.
okay,
All right. Go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. Like, share, and subscribe. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm here with Chad. He's here with our drug dog, Hans, and he's been a big hit at the Depson Dogs. Tell everybody a little bit about Hans for us.
Hans is the man. Hans loves to find drugs. We take Hans and we search different rehab facilities, schools. We actually got Hans to serve the public. So, anybody in the public sector that wants any type of search, if you send a kid to rehab and you want your house swept before you come home, feel free to give us a call. Schools, they're great deterrent as well.
I'm here with the regional chaplain down Genesee County. Kenny is here. They do great work inside the jail. Can you tell us a little bit about the programs that you guys have inside the jail?
Yeah, we have an opportunity that the sheriff allows us to come into the jail as guests to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with each one of the inmates that want to hear that. We have programs within inside the jail that we have Bible studies, we have people that come in and do one-on-ones as the inmates request it, but all of that's an opportunity to give them a choice at a different life than with the choices that they've been made to get here.
Outstanding. And they're one of our partners in the community to help people who are one of the people that help win, help us, help you, help those people around. I'm here with AJ. He's one of the committee members from Back to the Bricks. How do you think it's going today, bud?
Good. Yeah, I mean, everybody's here. Everybody seems happy, and we're doing it up in Flint just right.
Yeah, it's been a really good time. We're right by the jail, hanging out with some been very cool cars. And right to our left is their son was a deputy who had passed away. And so what they do is they have his car come out and they show it off at the different shows. We're sitting down here with UCAN and Reach the Forgotten and Spiritual Warfare Unit and Depson Dogs and Back to the Bricks, of course, with the cars because you guys are the cool kids.
We try.
You do it good. All right, we'll be around. All right, welcome back to the Warriors Way. Our warrior this week is J.J. Schalter, and he was just getting into his football story of just deciding to leave Michigan, sell his practice, go write a screenplay, ran into a guy who was for the Lions for 10 years, and you decided to write a screenplay on all like the behind the scenes that the fans never get to have back then, right? Yeah. And you mentioned the word steroids, which wasn't a stigma back then, but you were about to say what?
Yeah, it was kind of about that, but the most important thing is just seeing the characters, and you can't make stuff like that up.
Yeah.
And so what Russ would do is that he would remember stories and things that happened.
Yeah.
And so we put them all together, and we got a producer. We ran for 11 weeks in Hollywood. And USA Today did the newspaper.
How did the review go?
Oh, it was great. It was great, and we got a movie deal out of it, and we got
That is so. What was the name of it? You gotta
Game
tell-
Face.
You got to tell me. What was it?
Game Face.
Game Face?
Yeah.
When did this come out?
God, you're dating me.
I just want to know so I can find it.
Yeah. I'll have to give you the information. That would have been
80s, 90s?
Yeah, 90s.
90s.
Early 90s.
All right.
I lose track of time when you get older. You know, it's just
Getting old ain't for sissies, man. You got to be tough. You're like, what happened? I'm not sure. Where's my wife?
Yeah.
All right. So you do that, and you said you were out there for 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
And then what was the next? What was the next step?
Well, we got a manager, and it was Paula Wagner. We got a CAA, which is the best agency in Hollywood, and we wrote I think 15 screenplays together.
Wow.
And they were just stuff that we would meet every day, have all-nighters, and I got a place on Sunset that I was renting as an office.
Yeah.
And he was driving in every day, and we just wrote.
So you got to check that box.
Yeah.
That had to be cool, man.
Yeah, that was
Because you know some writers, when they get that review and it's like, wah, wah,
Yeah.
and you didn't have that. That's great.
Yeah.
It means it was brilliantly put together.
You know, I think that the real encouraging thing is people saw a movie in it, you know, which never was done, but it got us to the agents and things
Sure.
like that. And then later on my own, I got a deal with Disney, and I worked for them for 16 months. And
You worked for
writing
Disney?
screenplay. Yeah.
Just writing.
Yeah. But my point is that Game Face wasn't made into a movie. That was our dream. But I
Yeah.
got into Disney, you know, so that
And
was good
how
too.
many people get to, that's like the tippity top, right?
Yeah.
Man, what was that experience like?
It was magical.
Was it really?
It was magical. I wrote with a different partner at that particular time, a director.
Yeah.
And but it was just cool. I mean, you have to have a ego that is really soft, because they'll tell you what they think, you know, in these story meetings and stuff like that. This
They can
doesn't
be
work.
brutally honest.
Yeah, brutally honest. And so I just kept writing, and I've written over 30 screenplays.
Have you really?
Yeah, and in 4 books. And so, you know.
Hold on. You just skip over it like it was nothing. Like, what were the 4 books about? Just give us a real quick. What was the first one?
Well, the first one was about legal advertising. You
Okay.
know,
That makes
How to
sense.
churn, how to hire a lawyer.
Okay. What was the second one?
The second one was a book about my mother, Supermom.
Supermom.
Yeah.
And that's just about how she was strong for your dad. We were talking
Yeah.
about that off screen.
Yeah, just
I actually want to. I'm gonna be getting that one because I just like the title Supermom. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. What was the third one?
Then it was The Way of the Butterfly Warrior. And
The Way of the Butterfly Warrior.
Way of the Butterfly Warrior, which is, you know, talk about at a later time, you know. And then I wrote one with Michigan State, head of player development, called The Way of the Spartan Warrior.
Okay.
And, you know, kind of the characters a walk on, you know, kind of like revisited some of my things, but we just updated it.
Man,
Yeah, it was great.
that is really cool
Yeah.
that you did. Now, how old are you by the time you got all this accomplished? Mid 40s, late 40s.
No. That the books have been within the last 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I'm 71 now, so.
Man, you look great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Hey, that's just amazing. Okay, so you did all this, and then you moved from LA back to Michigan when?
That had been 20 years ago. Again, I'm not very good with dates.
That's right. So
but
that's like
about-
2000.
Yeah. My
Okay.
father-in-law passed, and there was, you know, it was a family thing. And at that particular time, I realized that I could write anywhere.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm not like an actor, got to be on set or something like that.
Where you're at is less important.
So the game plan became, you know, I can come home, we can take care of family and reestablish here, and I can still have my contacts
Right.
in Hollywood. And so I've had 3 movies done. One was for Showtime.
What was
And
that?
and that was Patrick Stewart and Kim Williams, and it was Safe House. Safe House. It's
You wrote that?
yeah.
You
I
wrote
had a
Safe
partner,
House.
Safe House.
Well, yeah. All right. What
it's
was?
on YouTube.
Yeah. No.
And there another one that had done with kind of a young director, and as a lawyer, I have to watch this topic of and it was about the perfume industry and fashion and all that kind of stuff, and I'm looking at and it has a lot of nudity and sex in it. I
Yeah.
go like, I can't have my name attached to that,
Yeah,
So
good
even
for you.
though it got done, I said, I don't want people to see that.
Associate you with that.
It just it manifested not the way that the words were. It
Gotcha.
was and I don't really like writing cop stories or anything like that.
Yeah.
I like inspirational kind of
Absolutely.
Rocky stories,
Yep.
if anything.
Yep.
That type of thing.
What was the last one, real quick?
Two Hearts.
Two Hearts.
Now, I was a script doctor on that. I wrote about 1/3 of it with my friend Chip St. Clair, and so I didn't get credit for it. But it's kind of fun when you can look at the movie. We saw it in a theater,
Yeah.
and say, I wrote that.
That was my line.
Yeah, that was. And I wrote most of the monologues. And
Yeah.
I'm good at writing monologues and that type of thing. But in order to get credit, they really focus on the original writers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it was just a script doctor, but it was a great experience, and I think a very inspirational story that has affected a lot of people. It was about a true story about a guy who had an aneurysm and had donated his lungs to the Bacardi family heir apparent.
Really?
And so there's all these great things about, giving and how to turn something bad in the magic of intention and
Which is
those-
all your energy and everything
Yeah.
about you. That's
Yeah.
cool, man.
And so it was great to see that out there.
Yeah.
What's funny about that is that the critics didn't really like it because it was, kind of soft.
Mm-hmm.
But the people loved it. The
It's a great
individual
feel-good
great-
story,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. So let's get into what you're doing now. And because we got about, a few minutes. And just tell people what you're doing, where your heart is, and what the kids and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's tell them what you're doing.
Well, my background has indicated, I don't have any kids, and we were talking before. I feel that every kid is my kid.
Right.
Like Jerry Lewis and then growing up.
Yeah.
And so I've put together this program of the Butterfly Warriors, and I love the butterfly symbolism as we talked about today and that type of thing. And I had a wonderful experience growing up as a Cub Scout. I just loved the uniform and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't, because of sports, get into the Boy Scouts aspect of it, but it really changed my life. And now, as an attorney, seeing that the Boy Scouts are having their trouble, it's in the billions of dollars of settlements. I forget what it was, but the improprieties, molestations, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm thinking there's a big black hole there of teaching life skills to kids.
Right.
Presidents have relied on Boy Scout principles to get elected.
Right.
And so I'm thinking to myself, what if I could form some sort of life skills program for kids and just take everything I know, everything I know, and just put it together in some sort of format.
And the age group for these kids is what?
Well, we've got it broken down to from 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. With each steps, there are stages of this being a new version, an older version of the same thing.
Yeah.
Because as we talked before, I really believe that everything is the same. You know, it's just a different application.
Sure.
And we're even here putting together a program for the addicts because of the powerful metaphor we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, icon and
Yeah.
alter ego of the butterfly.
Right.
And so that's
Well,
gonna be
how
my
did you come
question.
up with it? Like, how did your brain get there?
Well, it was
And what year? Like, what year did you do it
probably
first?
15 years ago. I met Chip and Lisa St. Clair.
We're talking
and-
like 2005, 2006,
yeah.
right before.
Yeah, and they already had the foundation called the Butterfly Foundation.
And that's a
St. Clair
501c3?
Butterfly. Yeah.
Okay.
And it has been working in the schools at various levels for during that time, and they are teaching it and all that kind of stuff. Chip has an interesting story. When he grew up in his teen years, he found out that his father wasn't who he thought he was. He was a serial child killer. And he obviously
Had to
talk
do
about
some serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he, in his own way, he and Lisa had put together a program dealing with childhood trauma, post-traumatic
Wow.
stress.
What a way to put the positive on that, man. Wow.
So all salutes go to Chip and Lisa.
Yeah.
And what they initially, put forth, and they were in the trenches.
Yeah.
For that 10 years and teaching kids things like yoga, teaching art, writing, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they were having great results of like changing this neuron or whatever.
mental
through-
process of
through creativity.
Yeah.
Through creativity. And they're just the perfect people for it.
Mhm.
And so I was working as legal counsel on the board of directors and all that kind of stuff. I'd seen their work and now took that next level to the Butterfly Warriors.
Wow.
And the Butterfly Warriors, real quickly, is based upon an idea, an Aztec legend, that men who die in war and women who die in childbirth come back as butterfly warriors to create heaven on earth. Isn't that cool?
Wow. What a great mental idea.
Yeah. And
That's
so-
where the idea came from.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, that's cool.
So the Butterfly Warrior has that story behind it. And, Jesus changed the world of stories,
Yeah.
And so he provided a template of like, how do you understand next level thinking? So
Right.
all of my books, and including The Way of the Butterfly Warrior, is how do you achieve self-actualization? In my view, you're a self-actualized person. You're well into that realm, but you've done the work. And
Yeah.
so the belief is that there is a path to Maslow's self-actualization. There's a path to miraculous living. There is something more that we can get to that even people who have drug and alcohol problems,
Especially.
yeah,
Yeah.
that if we can build on a foundation of the 12 steps, that there's a next level. And that graduation is the Butterfly Foundation and the Butterfly Warriors. So it works on almost every level with minimal adaptation. See, what I found in working with, I was volunteer life coach for the Michigan State football team for 2 years, and all the life coaching and things I do, it's all the same. And if it's not the same, working with prisoners or addicts, then it's not true.
Right.
There are basic premises that you can follow in this new age of information
Right.
that can be boiled down and put in place in your life.
Well, John, I love everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, God.
We are out of time. We're going to have you back. I told you it's going to go fast. We had a great time. Please check out what he's doing with the kids. Body, Mind, and Spirit Gym.com and the Butterfly Warriors. Check that out. Thank you so much for coming in. Please like, share, and subscribe on Spiritual Warfare Unit. Thanks for coming to UCAN Studios. We will see you next week. Do you have a nonprofit in your area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about? feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.
Spent so much time believing the lies. I knew I wasn't meant to live this way, but my walls came down when your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way.